Hi everyone, this is my best practices presentation. My name is Victoria VLowery. Okay, the first video I watched was decoding instruction, and Dr. Archer did this with a kindergarten class, the big picture. So what this video was mainly about, teaching us, was she went over the letter sound that was reviewed, and that letter sound was O that day. So she did do the letter sound with the letter O. They worked on blending the letter sound, so they were blending other letters with it. She did mostly CVC words. The first word, one of the first words she did was like hot and pot. And then she challenged students by giving them a longer word. And that really just kind of boosted their self-esteem because they felt so smart already by doing those simple words. Getting that longer word really just kind of made them want to work a little bit harder and really work hard to blend those words. She used gestures to connect to the meaning, and I thought that was really important just because some of the words they may not have understood, but she was able to gesture to help them learn that vocabulary. Some ways I would be able to use this in my classroom is I would just teach my students how to blend those sounds together. I currently am teaching a preschool special needs class. This is my first year. I taught second grade for 5 years. So this is a big change. I teach 3- and 4-year-olds. Some of them are turning 5 around this time. But I am teaching them their letter sounds, and a lot of them are developmentally delayed, so they don't know as many letter sounds. So I'm really teaching them, like, what's that sound? What's that sound? I have one student, he's doing so well, and he's learning his letter sounds, and now we're just working really, really hard to blend those together. So this is something I definitely could use in my class. This strategy, like I said, could be used to help my students begin reading the simple words. I would use pictures just to help them once they have sounded out each letter sound individually and they're working really hard to blend those sounds together and smooth it out. That's when I would try to introduce a picture just to kind of help them smooth those words out. And I included a picture, and it's like the stretchy snake words, and the one that you can see on the picture is the word jam, so they would m. And that way when they see that picture of jam, maybe it will help them to smooth it out and blend that word. The second video I watched was the read aloud that she did with second grade, and she read the book Wolf. It's an awesome book. If you have not read it, you definitely want to check it out. In this video, she started off, and I thought was so important, when she said, the name of the book we're going to be reading is Wolf, and she immediately said, what's the name of our book? And the students were able to repeat back, Wolf. They made predictions before beginning the book by looking at that front cover. The students were encouraged to make predictions throughout the book, not just before reading. So even throughout the reading, she would stop and say, okay, what do you think is going to happen next? The teacher used the illustrations also to support the vocabulary, so that way they would understand, like, he's going to a library, a public library. So that's something that I could also do in my classes, making sure they see those pictures to connect it to that vocabulary in the story. Something I would do is have my students repeat the title. That's super important, and I have not been doing that very much, and I was so thrilled when I saw it. I was like, that's something simple and easy that I can add into my read alouds. Something that really caught my attention also was that when she would ask a student a question, or a student was getting ready to share, she would lean in towards that student and sometimes even kind of point her hand out to him. Just that way it was actually getting other students to pay attention to that student also. And that is really good with my special needs class, because we're working a lot with a lot of my students on making eye contact. So them being able to follow where we're going and seeing who's talking and paying attention to that student is super important. I would encourage my students to think about what could happen next, and support them when they change their thinking, or if the outcome of the story differs from what they were predicting. I think that's important too in teaching special needs, just because I know for some of my babies, if they think something's going to happen and then it doesn't happen the way they expected it, sometimes that could lead to meltdown. So just being supportive and letting them know that, well, this author thought something different could happen, but later on we can retell the story and you can tell it your own way. So just making sure that they feel that support when they are making the predictions, because a lot of students don't understand that when they make that prediction, that it's just a guess, that it could be wrong. You're just guessing what's going to happen next. Also, what I like that Dr. Archer did that I would like to start doing more and just kind of get my students in the routine of doing is a think, partner, and then share. So like think, pair, share. So think about what you think is going to happen, partner up with somebody, share it with them. The third video that I watched was the vocabulary instruction, and this was also done with second grade. And this was kind of a follow-up lesson with the book Wolf. And in this video, Dr. Archer was pulling words from the familiar read aloud, which was Wolf. She repeated the words many, many times. She had the words visually displayed, was showing them how to make those sounds, making sure they were connected and able to read that word. And she encouraged lots of core responses. So the students were able to like kind of just say that word back to her. She was constantly giving them questions or open-ended sentences, fill-in-the-blank sentences where they were saying those vocabulary words to really understand the meaning of it. In my classroom, some things that I could do is just to display the new vocabulary words with a coordinating picture. Just like right now, we have been talking with my afternoon class. We've really been working hard on washing hands. So right now we have a sign that says wash in the bathroom, and we have one in the little kitchen area. We have one in our craft room. So that way it's by the sink. So it says wash and has a picture of somebody washing their hands. It's actually one of my students. So this is something that, that's a vocabulary word. That's a word I'm trying to get them to use, trying to get them to say, trying to get them to sign that word. So that is displayed everywhere right now because it is a big deal for my afternoon class is getting them to wash their hands. So displaying those new vocabulary words. Also, I could ask several questions or fill in the blank phrases for students to participate when using new words. And then encouraging students to use the new vocabulary words during conversations. My morning class, this is an area where I could definitely do this with them, like during our center time. So, for instance, we have been working really hard on kind words like please and thank you and share, and also just being able to express our feelings. That's another big one that we've been working on with my morning preschool class. And so I have two students that were in the class last year, so they're a little bit more advanced than some of my other students, and they have been working really hard on showing the other students what to do and words to say. So we've been working really hard doing that during center time. So if someone takes something, like instead of just crying or falling out, we're able to use those vocabulary words and say, I don't like that. Can you give it back? And I like to share. So just making sure that they're understanding those new vocabulary words, being able to use those in the natural environment. The fourth video that I watched was modeling retail, and this she did this with the first grade class. The big picture for this video was that she used keywords to guide the retail. She also did a really good job of explaining what the word retail means. You wouldn't believe that in first grade some students do not know what retail means. So she said retail, to tell the story again, to tell the steps again. The students were able to practice sharing with a partner. The teacher supported the struggling groups with prompts, and she also encouraged them without actually giving them the answer or prompting them exactly what to say. She just was able to say what happens next, then what happens, asking those simple questions to help lead them to the next step. The teacher was teaching the partner strategies to help each other. So not only was she helping them, but then she also helped them help themselves. So she got to those partnerships and she was like, if your partner doesn't know, then you're going to say what happens next. In my classroom, again, it is a preschool, special needs classroom, I would get my students to possibly retell me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, some students are verbal and would be able to actually vocalize to me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Some students would maybe need to use picture cards and place those in the correct order. I also have some students who are not super advanced when it comes to vocalizing what they want to share, giving me their answers. So they could even work in the kitchen center and show me how to do it as they're using some of those keywords. I also could get my students to retell familiar stories. We could use picture cards or felt board characters or even finger puppets. One of their favorite stories that we read at the beginning of the year was Brown Bear, Brown Bear. So we did that. We did it with a felt board. We also did it with picture cards on the floor. And this would give students a chance to actually just like retell the story of Brown Bear. Like, what did the brown bear see next? And then who did Redbird see? What did the blue horse see? So that just gives them a chance to retell those stories. And stories like that would be a good one to start off with a younger group, just because it is a fun story, kind of sing-songy, and they pick it up so quickly. Asking students what happens next is super important, and that's something that I really want to start doing more when I'm reading with my students. Not only just what happens next, but what do you think is going to happen next also. And the last video that I watched was the active participation instruction video with 2nd grade. I was really excited to see this video. I actually saw it a couple weeks ago when I went to an autism workshop. So I was super excited to see it again and be able to kind of share my input on it. The big picture was that the expectations were set. From the beginning, she immediately, gave them a chance to get some wiggles out, wave at the cameras, wave at your teachers, and now your eyes are on me. You will not turn around again. Her expectations were set from the beginning. She showed them what was expected and what was not expected. Lean over on your desk, lay down, be a lazy student. Now be a good student. This is what you're going to do. You're going to sit up straight. You're going to keep your eyes on me. The students were able to practice how to participate as well as practice, what is not expected. So they were able to practice, like when I'm working with a partner, I'm going to make eye contact by looking. I'm going to lean. I'm going to whisper. The teacher encouraged the students in a positive manner at all times. She was never saying, hey, you're not being still, stop doing this. She just continuously was positive until everyone was on the same accord. In my classroom, I do redirect by stating the expectations. I am always saying, all right, I want to see everyone sitting quietly. I want to see all eyes on me. Whoever's sitting quietly will get a chance to come up to the board. So just giving them something to look forward to and telling them how they can get that chance to come and help with the lesson. Being able to sit quietly is going to gain you a spot or gain you a chance to come up and use the pointer and click on something on the board. I try my best to ignore behaviors that can be overlooked. Sometimes this is really, really hard. I'm thankful to have 2 amazing assistants in my classroom who also help with those behaviors that are not of the expectation. But it is good to ignore those behaviors, because once I start paying those behaviors attention, then everyone else in the class gives their attention to that student also. I highlight and praise those who are following expectations by saying, Johnny is doing a great job of sitting crisscross applesauce. Sarah has her eyes on me. So just making sure that students hear that praise, that they are doing the right thing. And it also gets, Billy over here, who is standing on his head, to realize that, hey, she likes what Johnny's doing. I'm going to be like Johnny. I give students a chance to act silly and show what not to do. So sometimes I'll say, all right, guys, go ahead and stand up and get your sillies out, because that is not how we act on the carpet. Shake, 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 and have a seat. We are ready to learn. And that just gives them a chance to kind of do something crazy. Now, don't do it while I'm teaching. And then practice, practice, practice. Continue to always practice those expectations. My biggest thing and my most important thing is classroom management. So I love getting my students to practice doing the right thing. Sometimes we'll walk into the room and I'll say, okay, let's come to the carpet. And then maybe somebody runs in and say, let's try that one more time. I want to see how quiet you can do it. So just getting them to practice those expectations all the time so they're actively ready to participate each and every day. Overall, this is an awesome project. I love watching the videos. Dr. Archer is awesome. I hope you guys were able to take some key points from my presentation. Thank you.